Hi, I'm Veronica Lee. This is your weekly transformational forecast for the week of December 6th, 2021. And happy St. Nicholas Day. For the past few weeks, I've been talking about this energy of releasing our past and, sort of letting things come up to the surface that are wanting to be cleared, to be looked at. And what's showing up in particular this week, and it's sort of leftover from last week and moving into the new, we're really wanting to come more in alignment with who we are here to be and creating the life that we want. A lot of times when people talk about what we want or, fulfilling our potential, they may get sort of sidetracked, or maybe they dangle the little carrots out there and try to assume or presume somehow that is around money, prosperity, and living these luxurious lives. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that or that isn't an option, but more so the work that I see that is wanting to be done on a soul level that will then be reflected externally in other ways is really coming in alignment with who we are here to be. And more importantly, being aware of where we are empowered and how we might be giving away our power. When we look at what we want to become, and this is the energy that's really kind of pressing down on us right now, it's this what's your next step, sort of energy. It's not just about clearing the patterns that aren't serving us, but really coming in to say, okay, how do I shift from being in a pattern that is stuck or that holds me back into the next step that is proactive and healthy and aligned. Specifically, what's I'm seeing happening for many of us is really taking a look at how we are giving away our power in unconscious ways. So obviously, there are the outward, expressions of giving away our power, which might be not speaking up when something isn't quite right, or being part of a system that doesn't feel really resonant, and things like that. But specifically, I want to talk a little bit about this energy of feeling sort of victimized or feeling powerless or feeling stuck, right? Those are the areas that seem to hold us unconsciously because the layers of trauma and belief and story that shows us, that proves to us, see, you can't really move forward, or see, this happened to you and therefore this is a wound that will never heal, or whatever that is. It's so embedded there. And one way to approach this, and it's really supportive of us doing this right now, the energies are coming in to really support us, is to be honest and to be compassionate. So when we look at something that's embedded so deeply, this trauma piece that says, I'm, being victimized by the same people or this person or the situation, or the feeling of it's not fair, I'm not being treated well, or the feeling of a system that is not supportive of us. And not to say that the system isn't, actually not supportive of us, but that feeling that we harbor, that we carry, it's looking at that honestly and with compassion. So it's not about invoking shame and making us feel bad, or even looking quickly to the excuses or the reasons as to why we are experiencing this or why it's been hooked into us, but rather to say from a more compassionate, unconditional, loving place of, I see this, and this is acting like a weight in my being and holding me back and holding me down, and it's something I don't want to carry in my heart anymore. So once we recognize and we can be honest with our participation in this stuckness or this behavior or this thinking, then we can start to make change. We can start to look at what are the potential next steps. So it may not be super clear, like here's the next step and everything is going to be well, but what are the possibilities there? So by looking at these tight places with compassion, with clarity, with honesty, and being able to name them as best we can, that this is an area that is wanting to be healed, then we can bring forth potential ideas and maybe even reach out for support from others to help us navigate through the changes that we are wanting to make. If, for example, you're in a relationship that isn't satisfying, that isn't feeding your soul, what is it that you are doing that is keeping you feeling trapped and miserable? Not just what is your partner doing, but what is it that I am doing? How am I staying engaged in this pattern? And how am I looking at wanting to throw the blame elsewhere rather than taking responsibility for my part? And that my part could be, if the person is a unhealthy pattern, person, let's say they are verbally abusive or anything like that, it would be something like, why am I choosing to stay? And how can I start to navigate my way out? And of course, it's not just purely logistical, but what will give me that inner strength to make that pivot to change, right? If the area is around money, and money is so clearly often black and white, we either have it or we don't, and we are feeling really victimized by that. It's not necessarily about, oh, how can I earn more money? Because for those people who struggle with not having enough, they're often in that mode constantly, pushing, thinking on ways to make more, but rather to explore and feel into the feelings of that unfairness, or I'm always working, or it's so hard, or whatever that is, and the system's broken, and feel into and take responsibility for those feelings, right? And really opening our heart to the compassionate situation that we may be in, with compassion, looking at the situation we are in, and start looking at what are my next steps that can help me shift my feeling about being so bombarded by such a system. So those are just a couple of examples. Again, the energy this week is wanting to support us to move to our next, most aligned step. And at the same time, there's that critical piece that is asking us to take a look at, with honesty, how we are holding our own, gates closed, but we have the key. So with that, have a good rest of your week.